In two heart-wrenching cases that have shocked the nation, the tragic deaths of young children at the hands of their mothers have brought to light the darkest aspects of human nature. These stories remind us that mental health crises and abusive environments can lead to pure hell. The first case revolves around Sushi Staples, a mother from Illinois, whose actions have horrified her community and beyond. In a chilling discovery, the body of her 10-year-old son, Zion Staples, was found in the family's garage, stuffed in a trash can where it had been left for 8 months.
She says she tried to set him on fire.
Sushi Staples initially avoided a lengthy prison sentence, receiving a 2-year sentence for endangering the life of a child, a decision that sparked outrage and debate. Her defense argued that she was suffering from severe mental health issues, which impaired her ability to care for Zion. Despite her pleas for reconsideration of her sentence, the court's decision highlighted the complexities and shortcomings of the justice system in handling such tragic cases. In stark contrast, the second case involves Brianna Williams, a mother from Florida, whose actions led to the death of her 5-year-old daughter, Taylor Rose Williams. Brianna initially reported her daughter missing, claiming she vanished overnight. Then, her remains were found in Alabama, and evidence pointed to her mother as the culprit.
Now they're saying that you're a person of interest now.
It's seconds later that Williams becomes sick. She vomits, then becomes quiet. 3 minutes later,
Say again?
her condition worsens as the driver races for medical help. Then, a seizure.
Brianna Williams was eventually convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. New documents and court testimonies paint a grim picture of abuse and neglect that poor Taylor endured her entire short life.
Some lady called DCFS and kind of made some claims that you had a child that accidentally shot themselves.
Absolutely not.
No, it sounds crazy to me too.
This detective had to play it safe with 37-year-old Sushi Staples when he visited her Illinois home in July 2023. The claims were shocking. If he was to get to the bottom of it, he had to act like Sushi's friend and get her to open up.
Man, this is crazy. I don't know. I think I'm being framed.
Sushi's 10-year-old Zion had died in an accidental shooting 8 months prior, and yet he was nowhere to be found. So an acquaintance of Sushi's reported her to the authorities.
At first it was just like a regular phone call, like how you been doing and stuff like that. And then I heard her like crying a little bit. And I asked her, I said, what's wrong? And she just stated to me that Christmas will never be the same again. She then stated to me, I said, why, what happened? And she was like hesitant to bring it out and tell me. She then told me that her son she was gone from the house, and she told me that her son had shot himself.
And who do you know her son as?
Zion.
Okay.
Sushi's new friend pressed her for details, and Sushi, despite initial hesitation, wanted to confess the whole story to someone. Yet she never suspected her friend would call authorities as soon as their phone call was over.
She stated that he shot himself. At the time, he was 9 years old. I said, what do you mean he shot himself? I asked her some questions like, how did he get a gun? Like, how did that happen? She explained to me that she had just stepped out to run some errands, and she received a call from her daughter Serenity saying that Zion was gone. And she said, what do you mean gone? She said, why is he gone? She told me before she left, he kept saying that how he missed his dad or something like that. And he was crying because he felt like he missed his dad or something like that, she had stated to me. Then she said that Serenity said, no, he's on the floor. He's bleeding everywhere. She feared that they would take her kids away, and she was scared to lose everything. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she said she still had him there. She told me she purchased a burning barrel from Home Depot or something like that you burn leaves and stuff in, and she stored them in that. I'm like, what?
Yep, you heard right. Sushi told her acquaintance that she had stored her son's lifeless body inside a leaf burner barrel for fear CPS would take her other children if they found out her son died under her roof. It gets even worse.
She said she tried to set him on fire.
Now she was refusing to confess. The more the detective asked her about it, the more she looked outraged and angered that someone was framing her.
My ex-husband, his new girlfriend, this broad is off the chain. I have went down to Rock Island and filed a police report on her.
Okay.
I have went and put a restraining order on her.
What's her name?
Her name is Tony. This girl is never in it. She has so many different Facebook pages she stalks me from. She has made up different names, called me from different numbers. I have changed my number, tried to do everything I can.
Right.
Unfortunately, I can never seem to get them served because they're always bouncing around in the Chicago area.
Oh, okay. They're not even down here.
They're not even out here.
Sushi's claims were not confirmed. Also, this story had nothing to do with the matter at hand. It was not her ex's partner who had reported Sushi, but an acquaintance of her named Latricia, and her ex and his girlfriend had no idea about Zion's whereabouts. Sushi's poor ex-husband, Zion's father, had no idea Zion had been dead for months. Now, Sushi claimed she never even had a son.
You guys only have girls?
Yes.
Okay.
I have 4. Do you want to see them?
No. They said it was a son. I was just curious if that's even true.
It's not.
Okay.
It's a never-ending story with these two.
I get it. Like I said, I'm not trying to bother you or anything, but we get a call, no matter how crazy it sounds, we still got to come up and see if there's any truth.
And this is crazy.
It is.
This is very crazy.
Okay.
I have been living here for 6 years. My neighbors have never had a complaint. Don't you think if my neighbors would have heard something like that, they would have made a call or said something to somebody?
I would believe so, yeah.
But Sushi was just playing the detective, and he knew this was a possibility. While he kept a polite facade, he had a backup team ready to search her property if needed. But Sushi was having none of it.
Just so I can check the box off, can I look in your basement real quick and I'll get out
No,
of here?
you need a search warrant to do that. I'm sorry, I'm not about to have my rights violated because someone makes Uranus allegations like this.
I know. Like I said, it sounded crazy to me too. I'm just up here seeing if, we have to investigate it.
The next morning, the detective brought a backup team with a search warrant and searched her property.
Can I see the warrant, please? And I can call my lawyer. Can I see the warrant before we walk any further?
When Sushi realized it was too late to escape the consequences of her horrific actions, she broke down crying.
I'm scared because I don't know what's going on.
And so the reason we're here, okay, is because we're investigating a call that we had, okay? The officers came out and talked to you last night, correct?
Yes.
Okay. We have to handle that real seriously, okay? Because the allegations are that you have a son and that he's deceased and he's here in this house. Okay, so that's where we're at right now. Do you have a son named Zion?
No, I don't.
You've never had a son named Zion?
No.
Are you claiming benefits for a kid named Zion?
No. I haven't gotten any benefits for anyone.
Did she really not think the officers would find him on her property, now that they had a search warrant? Also, by this point, detectives had papers confirming Zion's existence, and even a Child Protective Services case involving him.
But who is this Zion that was interviewed by DCFS up in Chicago, right in the presence of all your other children?
There was no one
Zion
interviewed.
Staples.
No one was interviewed. Where did you say someone named Zion Staples was interviewed?
It was...
Because the call was made about my son Kentrell by his father.
Yes.
It was never made about a Zion Staples.
But when they went there, there
DCFS
was...
did a report.
The only child that they spoke to, because it was regarding him, had frequent visitors. We had kids in the neighborhood come over.
So,
some of those kids that were implicated were not, in fact, our children.
Zion had her last name, and of course the DCFS file stated the name of his parents. It's shocking to see how long Sushi can hold on to her lies.
Man, this is crazy. I don't know. I think I'm being framed.
A few minutes later, Sushi concluded she was going to jail.
Turn around for me.
Oh, no. I'm going to jail? What am I going to jail for? What have I done?
You just admitted to fraud.
So now you're going to railroad me on fraud?
Railroad you what? We're trying to figure out where your kid is. You're saying that he doesn't exist.
My kid. So now you're trying to railroad me.
Railroad you what? You did
Your
this to
officer
yourself.
just said he didn't. I didn't get any benefits though. I didn't file any IRS returns.
You're in possession of false documentation, and you already said that you signed up and have them for financial aid.
While this was happening, the officers stumbled upon a creepy barrel in her basement. Just as Letitia had told the detectives, Sushi had purchased this barrel with the intent to burn her son's lifeless body. Inside the barrel was the heavily decomposed body of Sushi Staples, still wearing his Spider-Man pajamas. It was the stuff of nightmares. And yet, Sushi was only sentenced to 2 years in jail for it. You see, she was charged with obstruction of justice and failure to report the death of a child. But she was only convicted for endangering the life of a child after she pleaded guilty for a better deal with the prosecution. At her sentencing, she told the judge,
I realize, Your Honor, my actions failed my children, my family, my community, my co-workers, and all who truly know me.
Many people are demanding a longer sentence for her heinous crime, some noting that even the circumstances of Zion's death are unclear, and Sushi may be more guilty than she lets on. On the other hand, Sushi is trying to get released early as she has no previous offenses. This was Brianna Williams' reaction when the officers first approached her in 2019, following the disappearance of her 5-year-old daughter.
John, 27, you can cancel that.
Have you had any problems with anybody? Okay. Anything unusual? Okay. Do you live by yourself? Okay.
Brianna seemed deeply distraught about her daughter vanishing. She had called the emergency services in Jacksonville, Florida, at around 7:20 a.m. on November 6, 2019, to report little Taylor missing.
Well, and they said the back door. I think the back. Thanks. All right. Okay. Okay. So, any problems with anyone else as far as?
Taylor Rose Williams was born in 2014 to Brianna and her boyfriend Maurice Tate. The two had been high school sweethearts and had lived together in an apartment complex on Southside Boulevard until shortly before this incident. Brianna was also a popular Navy soldier, having earned several medals for her service, including a Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal and a National Defense Service Medal. In 2019, when Taylor seemingly vanished, she was a petty officer at the Tactical Operations Center at NAS Jacksonville. So you might say the detectives handling her case were positively biased to believe Brianna was an honest, loving mother. They couldn't be more wrong.
What's her full name? Light skin, dark skin, brown skin? Okay. Okay, so she's not, doesn't take any medication or anything like that? Okay. Has she done this before as far as anything like try to leave or get out or mess with locks or anything like that? Okay. Show me which door was locked real quick, or unlocked. Was it the back door? Okay. When did you move in?
I started moving stuff. Well, I signed a lease in June, but the place kept getting broken.
693, 35 on that
I was like, they can't put me in that risk.
Okay, when did you actually move in? In June, or?
Like, a week ago, a few days ago.
Okay. Today's Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay. Did you move in, let's say, over the weekend?
Yeah.
I'll put out Bolo in a second. And she was wearing purple. What was she wearing? That's pink and purple pajamas. Does she have any scars or anything? Okay. Okay. And the pink and purple pajamas, were they full length or half length?
It was like a t-shirt.
T-shirt? Okay. And what about the bottoms? Were they full length or were they full? Let me get your name, ma'am.
An Amber Alert was quickly issued for Taylor, with a hefty reward of $4,000 being offered to anyone with information that would help find her. She was described as 3 feet tall, weighing 50 pounds with brown eyes and black hair. She had last been seen wearing purple and pink pajamas. Dive teams, officers, firefighters, volunteers, and cadaver dogs were out looking for Taylor. But Brianna knew this was in vain.
Parts of Duval County tonight, there is a massive search underway for this little girl. This is 5-year-old Taylor Williams. Her mother reported her missing to police this morning. Now, over the last couple of hours, a lot of developments. The search has been centered on this apartment complex on the south side. We know this is where the little girl used to live. Then an hour ago, Action News Jax caught dive teams searching the water near that apartment complex. And then look at this. About 30 minutes ago, Sky Action News Jax spotted a truck carrying a dumpster from that apartment complex. It was then followed by several JSO cruisers to an impound yard on the south side where the trash was then dumped.
As the detectives questioned Brianna for more information, she began to appear more like a suspect than a frantic mother. Brianna just could not give a clear timeline of events, saying Taylor was with her, but also with her mom over in Alabama, and getting her dates mixed up several times.
This was in June? This was in June. When I came July, I think it was like 4th of July or around that weekend.
Okay, so I'm a little confused. So let's fast forward a little bit. So after she came back from living with your mother, was what month? When did she come back to Jacksonville?
She came back.
Brianna should have been able to have a clearer date in mind, and after that, Brianna stopped her cooperation with authorities altogether. She realized she didn't have a straight story for them, and she would soon incriminate herself. But this only made her look more suspicious. By now, the detectives were already on to her. When the detectives spoke to Brianna's mom, she said she never had Taylor over that October. And when Brianna was confronted with this information, she, much like Sushi Staples, pulled an outraged facade, accusing the officers of bothering her. She said, "I'm over this. My mama would not say that. I just want my baby home. This has gone too far." But Brianna's game was easy to see through, so she was invited to an official interrogation.
Well, based on the investigation, the age of your child, and everything going on, I'm also a detective, but I'm assigned to our cold case unit, which also I'm part of the CART team, which is the Child Abduction Response Team. So, and I don't want to stress you out on that. Listen to me. Look,
Brianna,
I just want to explain what I do, all right, and what resources.
Brianna was visibly worried, and the two detectives had reason to believe she missed her daughter deeply. But by the end of the interrogation, they had an entirely different opinion about Brianna.
You understand what I'm saying, hon? Look at me. Listen to me, okay? We're doing everything we can. We got everybody out there looking for her, okay? We've got everything going, but I want to make sure we cover everything.
The detective was right. There was a huge team of officers going door to door, asking everyone in Brianna's neighborhood if they had seen Taylor. They got the same distressing answer from everyone. They had not seen Taylor, ever.
No, I don't think I've seen her at all.
Meanwhile, Brianna claimed that her 5-year-old daughter would dress herself up every day and put herself to bed around midnight every night. To the two detectives in the room, this seemed very odd. 5-year-olds tend to be less independent than that, and definitely need more sleep than midnight to 5 a.m., which is what Brianna was suggesting. As for the night of her disappearance...
Did you check on her prior to you going to sleep?
No.
Okay, so you assume that she was asleep? Okay. Did you hear any noise coming from her room or anything like that?
Not from her room, but there were like, I can't even explain it. Like, there were like when you're dragging something or you moving something, like, but it was coming from upstairs. And either way, like, I'll just grab my gun and, walk around to make sure, okay, there's nobody in here.
Coming from upstairs of the house that you're in?
And there are no stairs. That's the part that I didn't understand, but it definitely sounded like it was coming from the roof.
Okay.
Did you wake up hearing this noise?
Yes. Like the little, whatever noise it was, it sounded like it changes. Like sometimes I can hear it like near where I sleep. Sometimes it's like back towards the kitchen area.
Brianna armed herself to check the house, but did not think to check on Taylor.
She got bars on her window, so I just like, you can't get in there.
You said you don't like guns around her, but are they laid out like that? So she's
not normally. Like when she sleep, then yes, I pull them out because, like I said, like the place been broken into, so I sleep with my guns like right there.
Where do you think she's at?
I have no clue, because she wouldn't leave. And I don't even know, like, did they find Mr. Bear? Because she won't go anywhere without that thing.
What?
This little pink teddy bear, she calls him Mr. Bear.
A former neighbor named Carlos told the police that on the morning of April 17, 2019, he saw Taylor wandering around the apartment complex. She was wearing pink and purple pajamas and carrying a doll. When he asked her what she was doing, she said, "I'm looking for my mama." Carlos took Taylor back to her apartment and made sure she locked the door from the inside. He noticed that the apartment was a complete mess, with trash bags and boxes stacked everywhere. After that day, Carlos continued to see Taylor alone at home. She would wave at him through the window, always wearing the same pajamas and holding her doll. He also noticed that Brianna would come home between 6:30 p.m. and 7 p.m., carrying food that seemed to be just for one person. Carlos also said he had not seen Taylor since May 15th, and in October, Brianna moved out of the Southside apartment into her new address. With this in mind, officers visited Brianna's old apartment and the dumpster behind it with another search warrant.
Newly released photos from the state attorney's office show the inside of Brianna Williams' Southside apartment as crime scene detectives cased it for clues after she reported her daughter Taylor missing. There are thousands of pictures now in the case file. Investigators say they found the girl's blood on a closet doorknob. We also now see pictures of what could be Taylor's belongings in a dumpster, a child's drawing, an outfit, a toy monkey. In her Brentwood home, where Brianna Williams recently moved, there were 3 guns found. You'll remember witnesses told police the military mom moved in, but there was no sign of her daughter.
When the FBI got involved and expanded the search to Alabama, where Brianna's parents lived, the worst discovery yet was made. Taylor's severely decomposed body was buried in a shallow grave, stuffed in a trash bag.
Now, this video shows several crews making their way into this crime scene here in a rural area in Alabama. We saw this not long after police announced that human remains were found in this wooded area. JSO Crime Scene Unit vans and the State Bureau of Investigation, as well as several other undercover detectives, have been here. And JSO says that they received a tip that drove them to search this area of Alabama. And we've learned from sources and from family members that Taylor's mother, Brianna Williams' phone pinged in this area.
Brianna's parents went into a state of shock, learning what their supposed honorable Navy daughter had done.
She's a fun little girl, beautiful, look like her mama.
And is there anything you want to say to Taylor?
You love, and your mama love you.
That day, a warrant was issued for Brianna's arrest, and the news traveled fast. It traveled so fast that Brianna was airlifted to a hospital in critical condition before she could get arrested.
You know, now they're saying that you're a person of interest now.
It's seconds later that Williams becomes sick. She vomits, then becomes quiet. 3 minutes later,
Say again?
Her condition worsens as the driver races for medical help. Then a seizure.
No, you're not gonna go. No.
In a matter of 9.5 minutes, Williams goes from nodding along to being lifted out of a vehicle and onto a stretcher. The video ends shortly after.
Brianna tried taking her own life with pills, rather than face the consequences of unaliving her daughter. While she was in a coma, she was charged with 2 counts of felony child neglect, lying to police, and tampering with evidence. When she was well enough to leave the hospital, she was moved straight to Duval County Jail. By the time her trial began in 2020, the full details of what she had done to Taylor became heartbreaking.
New court documents show the life of 5-year-old Taylor Williams may have been filled with neglect and abuse from April to November 2019. It reads, Williams did, quote, torture, maliciously punish, or willfully and unlawfully cage a person under 18 years old. The 27-year-old mother is also accused of tampering with evidence in connection with transporting human remains. This is Williams' personal car. Previous court documents show that decomposition was found in this car, even though someone thoroughly cleaned the trunk. However, the new information does not confirm if Williams' car was used to remove the child's body.
As Taylor's remains were decomposed for months and even attacked by scavenger animals, it was hard to determine a cause of death. However, the coroner noted that her skull was suspicious for neglect, malnutrition, or severe illness. Taylor was nothing but a burden to Brianna. She never loved her.
In considering the allegations of second-degree murder, the evidence before the court is that the victim was not valued from the time of conception by either her father or mother, that her mother suffered, the defendant, from an eating disorder, that the father complained that the victim was not being properly fed. The defendant then removed the victim from daycare approximately 4 months to the victim prior to the victim's death. Taylor remained home alone and unprovided for throughout that time period. There was no significant purchase of groceries during that time period. There were some fast food purchases, but no more. No significant food in the home or the apartment. The food present in the refrigerator was unfit to eat. There's a hole in a juice can from which, there's a hole from a fruit can from which juice could be consumed. That was an argument made by the state, and that is supported by the record. There were photos submitted for the court's consideration, and I did notice a change in the child's appearance, particularly immediately surrounding the time of death. She appeared small and as if she were losing weight. Again, we have no opinion regarding the cause of death because the defendant acted in a way that prevented that review.
Brianna Williams faced a judge for the third time Tuesday. She again walked into the courtroom in a red jumpsuit, just like she did at her appearances in February and January, indicating she's considered a risk of self-harm or escape or requires medical transport. Tuesday, though, there was a new mounting pile of evidence released that could be used against her.
In February 2022, Brianna finally pleaded guilty to second-degree murder.
This is arraignment. Your lawyer has indicated that you want to enter a plea of guilty to the pending charge. You're charged with second-degree murder in the Second Amendment information. That carries a range, a minimum range under the guidelines of 20.5 years all the way to life. As I understand it, given the nature of the form I've been given, this is an open plea to the court. What that means as a practical matter is that if you go forward with your plea today, I'll set a hearing. You'll be able to call witnesses on your behalf if you choose to. I'm glad to hear from you if you want to testify or give a statement yourself. The state also has a right to be heard. They can call witnesses, including any that they think appropriate. I'll consider any documentary evidence that's consistent with the evidence code. And then I'm going to hear arguments from the lawyers, and based on everything I hear, I'm going to fashion a sentence that I think is appropriate.
Brianna was sentenced to life in prison. Sadly, the only time Brianna showed emotion was when she fake cried after reporting her daughter missing, months after she had taken her life.
Considering the aggravating and the mitigating factors, wanting to ensure that the community is protected and that a sentence is rendered in a way that does not dishonor the death of Taylor Rose, the court sentences you to life in prison.
As she was read her sentence, she stood there poker-faced and never issued an apology for destroying her 5-year-old systematically from the day she was born. Hey, thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on these two harrowing cases? And do you know any similar stories? Let me know in the comments section. And before you go, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell button. See you next time.